Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about some logo design principles. And specifically, I'm going to talk about how to keep your logo design simple, memorable, timeless, versatile, and appropriate. I'm also just going to talk at the end briefly about these subjects over here. They do tie in with those five I just mentioned. So preliminary work, balance, size, color, design style, some typography, not so much recognition, difference, the KISS, which is keep it simple, stupid, graphical effects, assembly line, and use of other design for inspiration only. So let's just go on with the first one, and the first one is simple. So a good logo has simple attributes. If wanting to coexist meaning in a way that does not overpower any elements or attributes inside of a logo, stick with simple design. Simple in most cases is more memorable than an overcrowded design logo. Some examples of a very simple but effective logo is the underground logo. You see the ellipse. It's a red ellipse, no fill. Looks like a stroke going on. And we have our kind of bluish purple rectangle, thin rectangle going straight across that says underground. And then we have the Nike logo right here. Very simple, but so effective. Very memorable also, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So there's some examples of simple logo design. Next one is memorable, what I just mentioned. An effective logo will not be worth creating or approaching without the concept of memorability. A logo being memorable is very important when creating your logo because what makes a logo so memorable is the simplicity it has. So again, we do not want to crowd our logo. We want it simple and effective. Here's some examples of an effective, simple logo. Let's talk about like the PayPal logo. It's just some text with different shades of blue. It's kind of italicized a little bit, which is very memorable actually. And it doesn't have to be so difficult. But at the same time, PayPal logo, when we think PayPal, we think the blue PayPal logo. It's also with the blogger. We have a simple orange square with rounded edges, and everyone remembers the rounded edges. With this B that's kind of stretched out on the bottom, very, very unique. Also with the Pepsi logo, a really fixed ellipse shape with red on top, blue on the bottom, and this curvy white stroke kind of going right through it. Very memorable for Pepsi. And of course, the McDonald's logo. Also known as golden arches, because you notice these golden arches. But we'll also talk about this later. When putting text with like an element, very, very tricky. You need to know your fonts. You need to know your groups and families of fonts and knowing how to work with elements. So very effective, the McDonald's logo. Let's talk about timeless. What does it mean for a logo to be timeless? For a logo to be timeless means to endure the ages. Simply means that the logo style should be convenient in lasting a good amount of time before it is necessary to upgrade your logo design. This is a really neat chart I found. It's just a timeline of comparing the Pepsi to the Coca-Cola. It's a little small, so let me blow it up a little bit. Okay. Alright. So if we start at the top, 1898, you need to remember, logos back then, they went with the genre of the community. This is a little more, you can notice it's just a little, you got your little ticks coming out of this, every little end almost. When the Coca-Cola, you have your little serifs on the bottom, but it's kind of a soft serif. It's not so much of a hard stroke serif, um, such as just like this font right up here, the Gligu font. It's a pretty hard serif, but right up here, it's just it's really soft and really nice to read. And you notice each logo, each company dissolving into the logos that they have now. Really, really neat. So you see right now, this is a Coca-Cola present. It started right in here with the 2000s with the whole classic, and it moved into a more just text, a text, a font to be its main logo. With the Pepsi, let me scroll right back to the top. With the Pepsi, we started so different. It looks totally different than it does now. You start with the Pepsi, still keeping this kind of bow, a ribbon action going on there. We move into a more circular bottle cap design, and then we go down to some rectangles and some ice, and lastly the final logo. So that's just some examples of timeless logos. This is a really neat chart. Now let's go and talk about versatile. When a logo is versatile, it means that it is compatible with many different uses and sizes. And when you design your logo, you want to make sure that it is created in vector form. That way you can resize it to any size you like and it will not lose its true form. You also want to make sure you can be able to resize your logo to different sizes, such as a business card to even the size of a billboard. Vector form will help you with that ability. Very important, a business or company, organization, group, they have their stationery, right? Well, you got business cards, envelopes, letterheads, sometimes some little RSVP cards or just more information. You want to make sure, or pamphlets, you want to make sure that your logo is very essential to the shape and the size of what it's going to be pasted on. That's very important to keep in mind when designing your logo. And if it's going to be clear enough to read, um, you want to make sure that you don't have these little tiny texts already as your main logo, but then when it's shrunken down to go on the corner of on a stamp or something, you can't even read what you want people to read. So it's very important to keep in mind that if you make it big, make sure if it's shrunk down that it's still visible for the viewer to view. So it's very important. Here's an example of versatile. I'm going to turn on my grids, and I'm just going to zoom in. And here's a let me turn it off real quick so I can show you. Now this is just an image. It's not a vectored graphic. It's a JPEG. So you can notice some little static going on the edges. Very normal. And WWF logo. Now you notice it's not a complete square. You notice it's kind of stacked on each other. The main logo is stacked on this font of letters down here, and it's not so much just a big square. So let me just draw a square to show you what I'm talking about. So if I start up here and go down, you notice, like I said, it's not a complete square. It's a rectangle. And it's very important to keep that in mind. It's very important to be be different, I should say. Not so much. We don't want exactly square shapes. We want it to be a little, we want the width to be um, good. We want the height to be good. But we don't want it to be so predictable, I should say. We want it to be different. And this kind of represents that style right there. Let's take off the grids and go back. Now, let's talk about appropriate. Yes, even logo design has to be appropriate. Why does it have to be appropriate? If the logo does not match the theme of why it is being created, it will confuse the viewer. It will automatically appeal in a way where one could distrust you and or services, which is the opposite of what we want. Um, yeah, which is like complete opposite of what we want. So, it is also important to know that a logo does not need to show exactly the services that the company, person, organization offers. For example, let's talk about the Apple company. They specialize in software, electronics, especially computers, MP3 players, software. But what's their logo? It's an apple, but you don't see this computer and earphones sticking out of it, so you know that, oh, it's a computer company. No, because it's universal. And so that I think the Apple logo is a really great example on um, you don't have to use like graphics and elements and pictures of stuff in your logo just so you know that it's that company, like the Apple company. It's just Apple, but they make computers, software, electronics. But you still know, and the Apple is so memorable. And when people look at the Apple, they think, oh, computers, or oh, iPods, but there's no picture of a computer or iPod. So, I mean, that's just a little example on what I'm talking about. Hopefully it's being very clear. So here's some examples of appropriate. Now, why would I pick this one? Toys R Us. The colors are very bright, very childish. The font is it's kind of like bloated, the font. And it really attracts kids, and it attracts adults too. So, it's a really effective logo. It's effective and appropriate because it matches its theme. Toys R Us sells toys, and it's just kind of friendly, playful, and that's what we want. Last is the CNN logo right here. CNN, the television channel, gives information. And one thing that I've kind of noticed about their logo just recently is that if you notice this red, right? But then you notice this white stroke kind of going inside. And to me, that kind of symbolizes like, it just keeps going and going and going, building and building and building. Exactly what CNN is. Very effective logo design. I really, really like their logo design. Okay, so I told you we're going to talk about some of this. So if you go on to the next video, I will mention just a little bit on the different things that these principles mean. So yeah, go on to the next video. Thanks.